If I was giving this speech 20 years ago, the focus would be on warning Australians, especially older people, against falling prey to door-to-door salespeople, pushing a scam or pushing products they don't need. I'll never forget my mum's reaction when we visited my grandpa one Sunday. It was after Grandma had died, and she, technical term, lost her mind at him when she realised that he'd fallen prey to a door-to-door carpet salesman who'd sold him massively overpriced, crappy carpet that was put through every square centimetre of the house, including around the toilet, which is not ideal for an ageing elderly gentleman living alone. But today they're dwarfed by the scale of the losses Australians are incurring through online scams. It's a modern-day criminal syndicate. Most of it is organised, highly organised crime. And scammers are determined and they're also creative. Now, some of the scams are kind of almost a little comical. I often get invited to give my details about my Commonwealth bank account that I don't have and so on. But it is a deadly serious issue, which is why the government is taking it seriously. Both in dollars value and the number of people scammed in Australia, it's now falling for the first time in a decade. Losses are down from $3.1 billion last year. They lost $2.7 billion, Australians, to scam. This year, it's tracking a lot lower just in the first quarter. And I do want to congratulate the Prime Minister, but particularly the Assistant Treasurer, for their work on implementing a serious anti-scams policy. It was something the Assistant Treasurer personally worked on and drove in opposition. It came out of forums from around the country, from listening to Australians, and it's a really good, cost-effective policy, and it's working. The National Anti-Scam Centre is up and running. The SMS Sender ID Registry to prevent scammers using trusted government or industry brand names is in place. ASIC, the corporate regulator, has been given resources to go after investment scam websites. They've already taken more than 5,000 scam websites down. There's mandatory industry codes coming for banks, telcos, social media, digital messaging, search ad services and so on. There'll be legislation introduced over the next financial year to give effect to those codes in a legal form. The ATO, the tax office, are taking action to stop fraudsters. The government's determination and action, a concerted policy developed in opposition. Unlike this mob, we used our time in opposition to good effect. We actually developed, I'm glad they're sitting down, we developed policies, actual real policies to respond to a problem and make things better, and we're implementing them and they're working. There's a tip for free. Anger and negativity is not a plan. But there's only so much on scams that the Australian government can do, of course. This is highly organised crime, and we need to work with our international partners and collaborate globally. It requires a regional approach. Many scams are organised criminal outfits in Myanmar, in Cambodia, in Eastern Europe and so on. And often, shockingly and shamefully, they're perpetrated by people who've been trafficked, who are bound and bonded in slavery and torture. And countries like Cambodia and others need to take this far more seriously. We work with Interpol, we work through our cybersecurity agencies, through the AFP and so on. But the final thing I just want to say is community response and action is important. I encourage everyone in the community to speak up to report a scam that they're experiencing, because it's only with that intelligence that our law enforcement agencies and the National Anti-Scam Centre can do their job more effectively. Thank you, Mr.